We now turn our attention to the Android Basic segment, and this week, as I indicated, we'll be talking about privacy, permissions, data access, and all of that. For an introductory part, I would like to show you the overview of that. And after my introductory part of showing you this part of the item in the privacy and all of that, then we'll have Fee show us a little bit or the same thing that is found and contrast that to what is on the Samsung phone as to the one I'd be demonstrating on my Pixel phone. So now here, I'm going to show you that general overview of the area, and then Fee will show us what is contained on a Samsung phone. Here is that overview. As I have indicated, today we'll be talking about this area found within our system settings, and that has to do with
privacy, permissions, account activity, personal data.
Let us now go into this section and take a survey of the area. For today, though, we'll be taking a look at a couple items in here. So here are the items that we find here.
Privacy. Navigate up, button, out of list.
Tapping on that, these are the items that we find in here.
Accessibility usage. 2 apps have full access to your device in list.
The first item we come across here, and by the way, this is using my Pixel 4 and running Android 12. The first thing we come across here, of course, is accessibility usage, and I am told that a couple items have full access of my device, and this would be, of course, TalkBack, and I believe the second one is BrailleBack. We'll be looking at this when it comes time to look at this, because this is one of the 2 items that we'll be looking at today. The next item,
Privacy dashboard. Show which apps recently used permissions.
Privacy dashboard, and that's the one we'll also be talking about today and making the 2. And so the 2 items that we'll be talking about today will be the accessibility usage and the dashboard. Next item,
Permission manager. Control app access to your data.
permission manager, and this one controls what apps have access to my data. Next,
Camera access. For apps and services, switch on.
the camera access is switched on for apps that may need it and things like that. And below that,
Microphone access. For apps and services. If this setting is off, microphone data may still be shared when you call an emergency number. Switch on.
so the microphone access is switched on, and even if I turn this off according to what it says, I should still be able to access it during an emergency call. Next,
Show passwords. Display characters briefly as you type. Switch on.
and here we encounter something about passwords, because remember, we could enable this also within the TalkBack settings. And so here again, we find this item again and saying we can be shown the characters as we type, for a brief moment. And turning this off, of course, we're not going to be able to hear what's going on and have that confirmation after we typed in a character. Next,
Notifications on lock screen. Don't show notifications at all.
and this has to do with notifications. And as you can see, mine is turned off because I prefer my notifications not to be showing on the lock screen. Next,
Android system intelligence. Get suggestions based on the people, apps, and content you interact with.
so this has to do with the sharing. Most especially, you want to share an app, and when you tap on that share, then it is populated by some of the apps or contacts that you can share it to. This has to do with the Android intelligence. Next,
Personalize using app data. Allow apps to send content to the Android system. Switch on.
next,
Show clipboard access. Show a message when apps access text, images, or other content you've copied. Switch on.
so in other words, when I copy text, I should be told that so-and-so app has copied text to the clipboard. Next,
Autofill service from Google. Saved passwords, credit cards, addresses.
and this is a very important feature because I like autofill, because if I'm filling out forms on the internet or whatever, and instances where my address is needed and things like that, those things can be automatically filled out for me, and also credit cards and things like that. Next.
Google Location History saves where you go with your device.
The Google location history, in here one could go in and check to see whether their history should be kept or not. Let's keep going.
Activity controls, choose the activities and info you allow Google to save.
And next.
Ads, advertising ID and personalization.
And this is how you control how ads are targeted at you and things like that. Next.
Usage and diagnostics, share data to help improve Android.
And that's the last item in this section. As I indicated, today we'll be talking about the first two items up there, and in the subsequent weeks to come, we'll be visiting these other items. Let us now turn our attention to what we have at hand for today. That is what it is like on a Pixel phone. And now I'll have Fee help us show us what it is like on a Samsung phone. And then we'll discuss the two items that I mentioned, and that will be accessibility usage and the privacy dashboard. Fee, do you want to show us what the area is in Samsung, what the items are, and comparing it to, what we have on the Pixel, so we
Yep.
see what that is?
Privacy.
Right. I'm in the privacy settings.
Privacy. Search settings. Permissions used in last 24 hours. Heading. Camera, 0 apps, 1 of 3. Microphone, 1 app, 2 of 3. Location, 2 apps, 3 of 3. All permissions, out of list. Permission manager. Accessibility special access. 2 apps have full access to your phone.
So that's the one we're going to be talking about. And I believe in my case it's TalkBack and BrailleBack. Although I've recently updated my phone, so it may be that I don't need BrailleBack anymore.
Controls and alerts. Heading. Camera access. Allow apps to use the camera if they have the appropriate permissions. On. Microphone access. Allow apps to use the microphone if they have the appropriate permissions. On. Switch. Alert when clipboard accessed. Get an alert when an app accesses text, images, or other content you've copied. On. Samsung. Heading. 12 of 23.
So this is the bit Warren doesn't have.
Samsung privacy. 13 of 23.
I went into this earlier to see what was inside, and it took me to a website, and quite honestly, it was too annoying, so I just backed out of it.
Customization service. 14 of 23.
That's very similar to the Google personalization type options.
Send diagnostic data. Off. Switch. 15 of 23.
Looking through this made me realise that I was sending Samsung diagnostic data, and actually I didn't want to be doing that, so I switched it off now.
Google. Heading. 16 of 23.
So now we get to things that I think Warren would have had.
Android personalization service. 17 of 23. On. Android personalization service. Switch. Android system intelligence. 18 of 23. Autofill service from Google. 19 of 23. Google location history. 20 of 23. Activity controls. 21 of 23. Ads. 22 of 23. Usage and diagnostics. 23 of 23. Showing items 11 to 23 of 23.
I'm very...
Samsung account legal terms up. Data. Navigate up.
Yeah, shush now. I am very sad to say that I don't have a dashboard, which means I can't drive. So perhaps while Warren is demonstrating this, I will have a sudden aha moment and go, oh, in a Samsung phone, they put that in this place instead. So we'll have to see. So if you're using a Samsung phone and you can't find a dashboard, you are not going mad. It's not there.
Now, I'm glad, though, we have the two to compare, because in here you see there's a heading for Samsung, and then there's a heading for Google. And so there are googly things, and then things that are only relating to Samsung. So, for example, you got diagnostics from Google and also diagnostics from Samsung. So it's a very important thing to compare these two, and I'm glad we have this. Thank you so much, Fee. Austin, let's now turn to the first two items. And So we want to go into accessibility usage, what that entails. And in other words, in here, we'll see what apps have access to accessibility usage. And so we'll go in here and see what Austin has on his phone.
Full access.
So I'm the privacy settings,
Accessibility usage. One app has full access to your device.
and the one app that has usage
TalkBack
to
has
my
full
device,
access to your device.
it says
Last
TalkBack
access. 10:16 p.m.
has full access to my device.
TalkBack can view your screen, actions, and inputs, perform actions, and control the display. Settings button. Permission controller. Accessibility. Navigate up. Downloaded apps. Speak. Off.
So it opened the accessibility settings,
Screen reader. Heading.
and I can
TalkBack.
select
On. Speak
TalkBack
items
here
on screen.
and manage the settings of TalkBack from this page. So it opens the accessibility window.
Back. Privacy. Accessibility usage.
So, in other words, as you can see, actually, so when Austin tapped on that accessibility usage, and then you tapped on the settings, which supposedly is supposed to be for TalkBack, but what that does is that actually it takes us to the accessibility segment on the phone. So, in other words, this will, if you want to add something to have access to this accessibility usage, it takes you to that place where you could enable such an app that will need access to accessibility. So it's a nice feature. So if you didn't want to go through system settings and go to accessibility, and you'd rather go through here, that's another way that you could get access to the accessibility settings on your phone. Thank you so much, Austin. Let's see the next item that we'll be talking about, and that will be the dashboard.
Privacy dashboard. Show which apps recently used permissions.
So as you can hear, this is the privacy dashboard, and it shows you which apps have recently used permissions. Let me go inside of this dashboard.
Privacy dashboard. Back button. Refresh. More options button. Past. Location used by 3 apps.
So 3 apps have my location permission,
Camera not used in past 24 hours.
which is
Disabled.
not used.
Microphone used by 4 apps.
4 apps have my microphone permission.
See other permissions, body sensors,
So-
calendar, and 10 more.
These are the list of 10 permissions that are there. Let me just click on one of the permission.
Microphone. Microphone usage. Back. More option. Timeline of when apps used your microphone in the past 24 hours.
So this gives us a timeline of when the apps have used microphone.
Today, head
In the
8:42
past.
p.m. Telegram beta.
So Telegram used microphone because I was sending a voice chat to someone,
8:30 p.m. WhatsApp 2 minutes.
and WhatsApp used it for 2 minutes.
7:17 p.m. WhatsApp.
And again at 7:17 p.m. WhatsApp used the microphone. So in this way, you can go inside each permission and check which app has used which permission at what time.
I really like that feature because then one is able to know what app has access and then for how long that access was for. So it's a really neat feature when you think of it. And also, I think there was one for the camera, wasn't it? You want to show us back out of here, Austin, and show us, I think the first one above that was the camera, or there was none using the camera. If not, then we'll go to the one that has like location, and then we'll go to the one with the calendar and all of that. It seems like we have 10 items in there, and we'll dive in here and see the items that have those permissions.
So not a single app has used my camera, and
Location used by 3 apps.
location is there. So let me go again into this location.
Location usage. Back. More option. Timeline of when apps used your location in the past 24 hours.
So it's the same thing.
Today, heading. 8:27 p.m. GPay.
Google Pay use the location.
8:26 p.m. Phone, 2 minutes.
Phone used it.
8:21 p.m. Phone.
And again, phone used it.
8:02 p.m. Google.
Google Assistant used the
7:35 p.m.
location.
Phone, 2 minutes. 6:43
So you can get the
p.m. Google.
timeline of all the apps that
Back,
use the
button,
location
window
permission.
navigation bar. Privacy camera, not microphone, used by 4 apps. See other permissions,
Let me
body
go
sensors, calendar, and 10 more.
into these 10 more permissions.
Body sensors, not used in past 24 hours, disabled. Calendar, used by 3 apps.
So calendar is used by 3 apps. Let me just check them.
Calendar. More option. Calendar, apps with this permission can access your calendar, heading. Allowed, heading. Android Auto. Calendar, accessed in past 24 hours. Galaxy Watch 4 Manager, accessed in past 24 hours. Galaxy Wearable. Gmail. Google, accessed in past 24 hours. Not allowed, heading.
So these are the list of allowed and not allowed apps.
Airtel. Clock.
And these
Facebook.
list of not allowed apps will have all the apps that you have installed that can access your calendar, but you have not allowed
Back,
it,
button, window
or it
navigation
has
bar.
not requested for the permission.
Privacy
Let me go
dashboard.
back.
Calendar. Call logs, used by 3 apps.
Again, 3 apps have used call logs. Let me
Call
check.
logs. Back, more option. Call logs, apps with this permission can read and write phone call log, heading. Allowed, heading, Android Auto. Galaxy Watch 4 Manager, accessed in past 24 hours. Galaxy Wearable. Google, accessed in past 24 hours. Phone, accessed in past 24 hours. Not allowed, heading.
So again, the same allowed and not allowed list is
Back.
there.
Privacy dashboard. Call logs, used. Contacts, used by 6 apps.
6 apps have access to my contacts. So if you want to deny,
you want to check that, Austin?
yeah,
See who
you
has
need
your
to really check that.
who has your mullah, man?
Yeah. So you can deny access to any app that you don't want.
Contacts. Back. More option.
Let me just
Contacts.
show you.
App allowed. Heading. Android Auto.
Android Auto has access.
Calendar.
Calendar has access.
Contacts. Accessed in past 24 hours.
Contacts should definitely have access to contacts.
Galaxy Watch 4 Manager. Galaxy Wearable. Gmail.
Gmail should have access to your contacts.
Google. Accessed in past 24 hours.
Google, this is the assistant. If you want, you can block, but if you block, then it will not be able to call anyone that you say.
GPay.
GPay should have access to contacts because you can pay people with GPay.
Messages. Accessed in past 24 hours.
Messages should definitely have access.
Personal safety. Phone. Accessed in past
And
24
phone
hours.
should have access.
Settings. Telegram beta. Accessed in past 24 hours. WhatsApp. Accessed in past 24 hours.
So Telegram and WhatsApp are the only 2 third-party apps that may or may not be given access, but I have given them.
Not allowed. Heading. Back. Privacy dashboard. Contacts.
So here, these are items that are important, like Austin has mentioned. So if I don't have it having access to my contacts, for example, let's say Gmail, if I want to send someone an email, that autofill of the address is not going to be there because it doesn't have access to it. The same thing is true when you're composing, say, using the Google Assistant and you're asking it to do something, calling someone, calling a friend or whatever, it's going to tell you, I don't have access or something to that nature. So if you think that these are things you need to use and have easy access, then it makes sense to have those things having access to your contacts. Austin, let's see some of the more items that we have in this area.
Files not used in past
So
24 hours.
files are not used.
music and audio, used by 2 apps.
2 apps are using my music and audio. I don't know which ones are they. I must check this
Music
out.
and audio. Back. More options. Music and audio. Apps with this. Allowed. Heading. Arogya Setu.
So Arogya Setu is one of the app. This is a government app that is for COVID vaccinations and all. But I don't know why it requires music and audio permissions. I'm going to deny this app that permission.
Amazing
The, gov-
MP3.
Yeah.
the
Arogya
government is
Setu.
trying to listen on you, bro. Just kidding. Well,
Yeah.
well, this is interesting, though. I wonder what the app does, now that it has access to music. I think what it means, though, it probably, well, it's not files because there was nothing having access to files out there that we saw. But I thought that, we could have at least seen something in files because maybe like your file explorers or whatever, if you had any file management. But this thing, music and audio. So in other words, this could be something that could be used in playing music. Do you use that thing in playing audio?
No, that is only used for COVID and COVID vaccinations. So if you want to deny an app
Arogya
permission,
Setu.
you click on the
Music
app.
and audio permission. Back. Arogya. Music and audio access for this app. Selected. Allow. Not selected. Don't allow.
And
Radio
you
button.
select don't allow.
Access to photos and videos also won't be allowed. This
And
app
it-
doesn't support the latest version of Android. If this app can't access music and audio files, it also won't be allowed to access photos and videos.
Okay, so
Back
it makes
button.
sense to me now, Austin. I think what is happening, the reason why it got dumped in this area is because it has all the permissions lumped together in the sense that files permission is also merged with music access. So if you don't allow it to have access to that music, the file permission is equally denied. So that's why it is the way it is. But at least it should have shown that it also belongs in the files section. Why it's not there is beyond me.
Imagine if you could give it access to your music and audio, and then when you go for your COVID vaccine, you could choose what song is playing when they did the injection.
Ooh, I'm afraid of that, Fee, because I don't like shots at all. I never like shots, so
Probably
that
better
will
than
scare me.
COVID though. But yeah. I'm just trying to think what would be an appropriate song for having a vaccine.
Yeah, or maybe we'll play something to calm you down, just in case you're kind of a little bit nervous. So here's a little song to calm you down. Maybe it will do that. Who knows? I've never been to a vaccine place, and so I have no clue.
Oh, I have. They didn't have any music on. It was very quick, actually.
Okay. All right, Austin, what else do we have?
So then we have the
Back. Confirm button.
confirm button. So once you click on this,
Music and audio permission.
the app will
Selected.
be denied.
Don't allow. Radio back. Music and audio. Kalo. Amazing MP3 recorder.
So Amazing MP3 recorder is a recorder, so that should have music and audio permissions. So that is allowed.
Allowed. Amazing Kalo.
Now Chalo, this is an app for bus pass and all. I don't know why it requires music and audio. Although when you start a trip on this app, it plays a sound by which the ticket scanning machine can scan the barcode. So
That's
I'm
why.
not going
That's
to
why it
deny.
has. That's why it has that. So if you turn that off, you're not going to be able to hear that sound. So that makes sense.
Envision AI.
Envision AI also has permissions for music. I don't know why.
Galaxy Watch 4 Manager. Galaxy Wearable. Google Play Store. HDFC Bank. IQ MP3 Recorder.
I don't know. There are some banking apps, but I think the reason for this is that their apps are designed for an older version of Android. So all the permissions are clumped into this one.
Messages, accessed in past 24 hours.
Messages accessed my music. I don't know what it was doing.
ML Manager. OneDrive. Photos, accessed in past 24 hours.
So this is the clump of all the
Back.
permissions. Let's go
Privacy
back.
dashboard. Music and nearby devices, used by 2 apps.
2 apps have nearby devices access, and I know the both of them will be Samsung
Nearby devices.
Watch.
Back.
This is
Button.
related.
More nearby device. Allowed. Arogya Setu.
No, the government website, the government vaccine app has nearby device access, because this app will tell you if someone is infected with COVID. It will see that your device was near that person, and it will give you an alert that you need to go and get a test done.
Android Auto. Android System Intelligence. Audio Recorder. Bank exams today. Bob World.
So a
Clubhouse.
lot of apps have access to nearby devices. I don't know why. I think the same rule applies because they are designed
Back.
for an
Button.
older
Window
version of
navigation
Android.
bar.
So in reality, the reason why some of these apps may be here or have this access to nearby also have to do with casting devices, and that's why. So any app that has casting capability will be part of this segment.
That's
Then
true. That's true, but also with, like Austin said, with the COVID app, it's not casting; it's looking for other Bluetooth devices, I think. And also, what about looking for nearby Wi-Fi devices? Would that be part of it too, so that it can connect to them?
Definitely, that's part of it too. So, anything that could access Wi-Fi or Bluetooth devices and casting devices, that's why you will see those having that access. If you deny them, you may not be able to pair them to a Bluetooth device or cast audio. For example, that recorder may also have the ability to record from Bluetooth, or may even have casting capability. If you deny that, you are not going to be able to have that privilege.
Yeah, and also, just as an aside, if you want to Chromecast something from Netflix or Prime Video or that type of any TV app or YouTube, don't do what I did once and wonder for ages why it's not working when you've turned off Wi-Fi. It won't work when you've turned off Wi-Fi, folks. You can learn from my silly mistake there.
All right, Austin, is that all we have in here? Was that the
In
last
past
item?
24 hours.
Then
Disabled.
we have the notifications,
Nearby notifications, not used in past 24 hours.
which are
Disabled.
not being used.
Phone, used by 9 apps.
9 have access to my phone. I need to really check these out and see which are they.
Photos and videos, used by 4 apps.
4 apps have access to my photos and videos.
Physical activity, not used in past 24 hours.
There's
Disabled.
no app using physical activity.
SMS, used by 3 apps.
3 apps have SMS permissions.
Privacy
And that's
dash-
it from the privacy dashboard.
So it's really interesting, as you can see the things in here, and some of them will show you what they have been able to access within the last 24 hours. And of course, you're going to see a lot of, Google or phone or whatever, because these are services that we're using. So it makes sense that you'll see them repeatedly, and it tells you what time it is that they've pinged your location or whatever. Or if you're using WhatsApp, okay, so at so and so a time it was used, and all of that. So this is an area that one could go in and really customize, and yet in the same breath, be careful not to turn off something that you may need. But I think it's good for people to be able to go in here and look at this area and customize things as they would like to have them customized.
It is a little bit different in Samsung. Do you want me to demonstrate that?
Yeah, if you could.
Okay, well, I still have no dashboard, but I do have the permissions thing just in the privacy settings, like Warren said. So I think in Samsung, it shows those first because maybe they're the ones people want to change most. I'm guessing now. I don't work for Samsung, so I don't know. But for example, you might think, "Oh, is there an app spying on me?" You know, with the microphone or the camera. So you might want to check that.
Permissions used in last 24 hours. Heading. Camera, 0 apps. 1. Microphone, 1 app. 2 of 3. Location, 2 apps. 3 of 3.
So if I go into location,
Permission usage. Nav. System UI. System UI. While using app, 1744, 1 of 4. Background, 1705. Background, 1654, 3 of 4. Background, 1652, 1653, 4 of 4.
okay, so that one tells me it was for 2 minutes then, if it's saying the 2 minutes next to each other.
View more, out of list.
I could view more, but that would just be lots and lots of times when it used my location, and we'd be here all day, and it would probably be a great cure for insomnia, but other than that, it's probably a bit boring.
Yesterday.
Oh, I've missed the other app.
Bixby Voice. Bixby Voice. Background, 1809, 1 of 4. Background, 1801, 2 of 4. Background, 1739, 3 of 4. Background, 1733, 4 of 4.
And then it's got the system UI that I've just...
Back, view more. Yesterday.
And then
Showing
it's...
items 1 to 4 of 5.
And then it says yesterday, and it does the same thing. It gives different times when it's used the location. They're just times that are later in the day because it was the end of yesterday. So I won't go through all those. And then in the microphone bit...
Microphone, 1 app, 2 of 3. Permission usage. Navigate. Use permission settings button. Microphone, used by 1 app. Today. Google. Google. While using app, 1716. While using app, 1533, 2 of 4. While using app, 1406, 3 of 4. While using app, 1328, 4 of 4.
I don't know why it sort of thinks the holy grail of numbers to show before it says view more is 4. I'm not sure whether Google's the same or whether that's a Samsung thing, but there we go. And then there is a permission manager that shows you all the permissions you've used in the last 24 hours.
Navigate up button. Permission manager.
And this is more interesting actually because I looked in here before.
Body calendar, body sensors, 1 of 4 apps allowed. Calendar, 7 of 14 apps allowed. Call logs, 7 of 13 apps allowed.
Gosh.
Camera, 11 of 35 apps allowed. Contacts, 13 of 43 apps allowed. Files and media, 22 of 55 apps allowed.
Good grief.
Location, 11 of 38 apps allowed. Microphone, 13 of 33 apps allowed. Nearby devices, 40 of 51 apps allowed. Phone, 10 of 34 apps allowed. Physical activity, 0 of 5 apps allowed. SMS, 8 of 17 apps allowed. Additional permissions, 5 more.
I won't go into that but you can go in like Austin did and deny permissions or allow permissions. That's all quite similar, I think. It's just not packaged inside a sub-menu called dashboard on my Samsung phone as it is on the Pixel.
That's right. But basically, essentially, it's the same thing. And again, people should go in here because there may be more apps that are actually using this thing that people don't want to. So it's always good to go in here and check these things. And if you find an app that actually don't want it having access, go ahead and deny that app having that access.
Yeah, location is an interesting one for that. Don't forget that in order to... If you want to be able to wake up Google and ask it to phone your local takeaway or supermarket or chemist or something, don't turn off Google's access to your location because otherwise it won't be able to give you a sensible result for a nearby, if you say phone a chemist and then it will give you a list of them, but it can't do that if you turn off the location. But then there are other apps that you really might think, wait, why are you accessing my location? I don't like that. And they don't actually have a legitimate need for that. And some companies they're a bit unscrupulous and they like to harvest your data more than you may realize sometimes. And things like, for example, people might want to turn off their location for apps like Facebook, and or set it to only to ask to use your location if you want to check into somewhere, rather than just to use it by default. So that these apps aren't sort of spying on you.
And if you want to turn off the Google location, then if you want to call a chemist, like Fee just said, then you should be able to know where it is at and just say, hey, find the chemist located at so and so an area or whatever, something like that. You have to know what you're looking for and just telling it exactly what you're looking for.
You do, but it is,
Yeah.
I'll have to say, it's easier with the location turned on, because then
Yeah.
it knows exactly where you are and can tell you how many miles away the chemist is and things like that, because it can also give you the address and things like this. And if you're in a new area and you don't know where these things are,
It'll be tough because you
that's-
cannot drive there and all of that. So
yeah, but that can
it
be
makes
really
sense.
useful to know, to have that help. And also, if you want to use Google Maps or Lazarillo or basically any location app, don't deny location permission, because then it won't work. And you might be going, this app's no good, it doesn't tell me where I am. Well, no, because you've told it not to. So yeah, don't do that.
Exactly. It's essential.